There it is. It's 8 o'clock. It's Monday. And if it's 8 o'clock at Monday, it is Mighty Monkey's Nerd World News. And I'm your host. My name is The Vision. With me, as always, is my dear friend, Wanda Maximoff. In the studio with us at the control board is none other than Tony Stark with the headset on and our dear friend, as we all know him, Clint Barton. And he looks a little shell-shocked today, but he's just had coming up from a nap, so he's all good. But he's good. See, but Hawkeye's with us tonight. Elizabeth Rice, it is so good to see you, Elizabeth Rice. I'm hoping all is well in Elizabeth Rice land. I'm sure other people will start tricking. Well, what's that, James?
I have no match jokes prepared.
It's all right. I'm still living, man. It's all good. No worries. No worries. So we're going to jump right into things today. Blade will be Marvel's first film written by a Black woman, Stacey Osai Kuffour, and I hope I did not massacre that name too dramatically. About a year and a half has passed since Marvel Studios announced that multiple Oscar winner Mahershala Ali, I practiced that name, would join the MCU to play the famed vampire killer in a new Blade movie. And while the film still doesn't have a director, it now has a writer. Stacey Osai Kuffour, who has been hired by Marvel Studios to write Blade, according to Hollywood Reporter. She's a playwright turned TV writer who was a story editor and a writer on HBO's Watchmen series, as well as a writer on Hulu's Pen 15 and story editor on Amazon's Hunters and HBO's Run. She was hired after a 6-month search during which studio executive worked hand in hand with Ali. Reportedly, African-American writers were the only ones seriously considered, and Osai Kuffour's hiring makes her the first African-American woman to write a Marvel movie. Nia DaCosta, who was the director of Captain Marvel 2, will be the first African-American woman to direct a Marvel movie. Her hiring also marks the first significant movement on the project since the high-profile casting was announced. Fans are surely anxious not just to see Ali as the Daywalker, but to see how Blade, a character created in 1973, who's best known from the trio of late 90s, early 2000 films starring Wesley Snipes, fits into a superhero world that feels much more bright-colored spandex than black leather and silver blades. Heck, where do vampires even come from? It's Osai Kuffour's job to figure it out. Now, with her on board, focus now turns to looking for a director that can bring her and Ali's vision for Blade to the big screen. Odds are we won't be seeing the film for some time. Marvel Studios has films dated into 2023, which would be the earliest this would be out, but Blade does seem to be next-ish on the list, and Osai Kuffour coming aboard definitely signals progress. And you know our mantra, as we learn things, we will share them with you. Now, who else would come on board? Hey, there's Batman John, there's Peter, good to see you guys. And Elizabeth Rice is lamenting she should be at Disneyland. I think all of us,
much better place at Disneyland than
all of us would definitely be agreeing with you on that one at the moment, especially with the most recent Snowmageddon starting to settle into the area at the moment. Now, this is where I would typically have Dan shift over to Tanya sitting in her car waiting for tap dance class, but as you can tell, apparently tap dance class is not happening today. So Tanya is sitting right here.
It's February break, and so when
February break, yay.
I think it's easier when I'm sitting in my car rather than sitting next to you in regards to this, I tell you. With it being February break, schools are closed, dance studio is closed, so which is kind of nice because I didn't want to necessarily be sitting in my cold car. But I have 5 comics for you guys this week. The first one is Thor number 12, Prey Part 4. Doctors Foster and Blake, ready your scalpels. Once upon a time, Jane Foster and Donald Blake were more than just friends. With Blake at her side, Jane could have shared the very throne of Asgard. Now, they are about to become the bitterest of enemies. And if Valkyrie falls, she'll have lost more than a crown. All of the 10 realms are at stake, not to mention the life of the All-Father Thor. Okay, next.
Keep going.
Batman Catwoman number 3, The Bat and the Cat, Chapter 3. Selena Kyle knows this. Early in her career as Catwoman, he was there to mess things up for her. Same with later, when she and Batman were finally getting together for the 3rd time, but still, that time stuck. No thanks to the Joker, or to the Phantasm, who now has her sights set on Catwoman because she thinks that will get her in after the Joker herself. and she has to do it before Batman gets to her first. There was a kind of an odd write-up.
There was a weird bit of copy there, but yeah. You did through. You got through well.
It was when I copied and pasted it from the site that had this as it was a little. I'm just like, it was so choppy. It didn't whatever. So
I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah.
You could have had to write it backwards while hanging upside down.
True. By my thumbs.
By your thumbs.
Okay.
I'm not sure how you can hang upside down from your thumbs.
I don't know. But Guardians of the Galaxy number 11. Here we make our stand. The gods are coming. The Olympian gods are returning to our universe, and they're taking their exile at Peter Quill's hands very personally.
Whoops.
To stop them, the Guardians return to the place the team was born, but while facing their past in the Annihilation War will help them survive their future. Bleh. Everything changes in 2, 1.
Not just yet, but soon.
The next.
When will then be now?
When?
And now.
When? Then.
Okay. Future State Immortal Woman Wonder Woman number 2. Part 2, Nubia Part 2. The undoing is here. Superman couldn't stop it. Darkseid couldn't stop it. Only Diana Prince is left to hold back the being that could spell the complete disintegration of the cosmos. But will even she be powerful enough for the task? Meanwhile, in another future, Nubia's attempts to stop the theft of ancient artifacts have led her to an even bigger conspiracy and an even bigger foe. Cersei is up to her old tricks even after all these years, and she has an offer that Nubia will find hard to refuse. And last but not least, X-Men Legends number 1. All new tales starring your favorite X-Men spanning classic eras. Break out the yellows and blues, fire up the danger room, and snap on your pouches as legendary X-writers return to the classic eras of the mutant superheroes in all new continuity stories set during their fan favorite runs. Fabian Nicisia, I'm sorry if I butchered that.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine on that one.
Kicks off the series with a special saga of Cyclops and Havoc as the Shi'ar returns to Earth in search of the Forsaken One. But what secret will the Summers brothers uncover, and how will its revelation change what you thought you knew about the X-Men? Get ready for a story decades in the making, and come back each month as we dive deeper to expand the X-Men mythos. Welcome back, legends. Hope you survive the experience. And after I've butchered all of that,
you did good.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. Comic Chicks, we will be opening comics this Wednesday, the 17th. Hopefully it's not one of those big boxes like we did the other day.
Wade's going to be picking them out.
Wade told Ann that he's picking out the boxes this time because we opened 2 the other day. Hi, Ann.
Hi, Ann.
And it was, Wade's picking them out.
I just want to date myself at the moment by virtue of the fact that when she said Summers Brothers, Summers Brothers, the only thing I could think of was which one's playing the yo-yo tricks and which one's the straight.
Oh, you mean the Smothers Brothers?
The Smothers Brothers is where I went.
Yeah.
When Summers Brothers, I went Smothers Brothers. And so, yes, I'm old. This is where in the show I would start talking about various things that we do now. At this point, and I'm not sure if we have a graphic up for the link, but we now have a link tree. So we have all of our products and stuff all in one handy place to find. It is link. There it is right there. Oh, see, because Dan's smarter than me. linktr.ee/Mighty Monkey. From there, you can go pretty much anywhere across the Monkeyverse. All of our podcasts, and there are 3 of them now in the network, are places where you can support us. The FC3 main page itself, our Facebook, our social media, it's all right there.
We have Buy Us a Coffee.
Yep, you can buy us a coffee, or you can go to our Patreon page. And if you go to our Patreon page, you will find all sorts of cool things, including not just one of the greatest gaming blogs ever to be written, but it is actually the greatest gaming blog to ever be written. And so yes, there's our dopey ass back in the studio in the early days. That's a good picture of you. I don't want to hear any protest. No, that's a good picture of you.
No.
You see, we're always very critical of ourselves.
No, I'm very critical of myself.
Yes, but anyway, regardless of that, if you go to our Patreon page and choose to sponsor us, we would be greatly appreciative. But also, you can find a wide variety of things going on there. Who's in Dansville, New York?
Dan Arena?
That's actually not the Dan Arena I work with. It's his cousin, Dan Arena. It's kind of funny how that works out. But we're not actually technically in Dansville at the moment. It's just a reference to something else. Where was I? Yes. Linktree. So go to our Linktree, support us, sponsor us, find things to do. And while you're there, stop to read James's blog. Now, we're going to wander over to James, and I'm going to stop babbling for 5 seconds. And James, tell us what you got cooking up for us this week.
Oh, over on the Patreon blog tomorrow, it's the game that brought licensed properties to the Double Dragon style beat 'em up format and gave the arcade business a significant shot in the arm. 1989's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This 4-player classic quarter gobbler is as colorful and wacky as the cartoon that inspired it and came out right at the height of the Terrapin Quartet's popularity, all to the bafflement of the Japanese developers at Konami, who had never heard of any of it. Insert half-hearted cowabunga here. Oh. So that is going up tomorrow, and on Gaming Street Irregulars on the podcast Thursday, we are in the middle of 28 days of Black cosplay, and in honor of it, I spoke with a trio of cosplayers. Akakioga, pictured over this direction, I hope. Yep, there she is.
Nice.
Bree joins the show. You may remember she was on the RPG Player Characters podcast a couple weeks back. And she's joined with other cosplayers, Night Mage and Galaxy the Mythical, to talk about their experiences in cosplay. We get a little serious here and there, but mostly we're celebrating their creativity and artistry. Please do check it out on Thursday, folks, and let us know if you want more cosplay-focused content. In fact, give me feedback. Any feedback. Please. Please. Please.
We got you covered, James. Absolutely. So that's cool. That's awesome. And let's see. We've got some comments here. Elizabeth, whenever I see the name Dansville, I think of Phineas and Ferb. 104 days of summer vacation. Anyway. And she also saw that Kingdom Hearts is going to be on PC now, which is not good for my free time. Never played before, but I know it's something I'd love given how much I love Disney. Absolutely. It'd be right up your alley. Thank you, James. Appreciate that as always. And that leads us to talking a little bit about what's coming up. So tomorrow, that's James's blog. On Wednesday, we have another fun-filled episode of FC3's Monkey Business podcast. What do we talk about again? I always forget.
Toys That Made Us.
The Toys That Made Us, the
on
Netflix
Wednesday.
Series. That's right. And then Comic Chicks on
Wednesday.
Okay, so tomorrow is James's gaming blog. Wednesday is FC3 Monkey Business podcast. And Comic Chicks in the evening. On Thursday, Gamer Street Irregulars talking about African-American cosplay. And then on Friday, episode 2. Is it episode 2 or is that next week? We're gonna
Did you do an episode?
Every other week for us.
Every other week. So not this coming Friday, but next Friday. We'll talk more about that this Monday. Will be the second episode of Dan and Chris Save the World on the Mighty Monkey Podcast Network. All right. Dan Arena lives in Dansville. What a small world. Yes, that's awesome. We're all pretty much neighbors, dude. Absolutely. Tanya was born in Warsaw. And her family comes from Mount Morris.
In Dansville.
And Dansville. So yeah, we have connections all over the place. I mean, New York State, Western New York State's pretty small. All right, so moving onto the rack of stories and things that we found to talk about. Guess what? We have a relative exclusive from Giant Freaking Robot Entertainment page. Scott Bakula returning to Star Trek as Captain Archer. This was by Drew Deitch about 4 days ago. Captain Archer is probably not one of the more widely beloved captains in the history of Star Trek, but it is tough to argue that Scott Bakula didn't give the role his all. If nothing else, it was Bakula's performance that shined through the entirety of Star Trek Enterprise. Though there has not been a ton of calls to revisit a lot of what was showcased in that particular series, fans would not turn their noses up at seeing Jonathan Archer showing up in the franchise once again. Well, it looks like that is exactly the plan for the not-too-distant future. According to our trusted inside source, I can speak good today, the same one that gave us our confirmed exclusive scoops regarding Don Cheadle appearing as War Machine in The Falcon and Winter Soldier and Josh Brolin returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Thanos. Captain Archer is going to make a comeback. Our information says that the powers that be at Paramount want to bring Scott Bakula back by having him cameo in another Star Trek show and then leave the door open for him to headline his own solo series. We assume that would be dependent on how well his cameo appearance would be received. If it manages to be positive enough, they might greenlight the very show. Which series would Captain Archer pop up on? Excuse me. Our insider is telling us that Star Trek Picard would be the likely option since it's probably the highest profile Star Trek series on the streaming service Paramount Plus. Considering that the ending of Star Trek Enterprise directly featured characters from Star Trek The Next Generation, which was the greatest ripoff in the history of fiction, this does make a lot of sense. And it would be somewhat entertaining to see Scott Bakula and Patrick Stewart get to share some screen time together. If nothing else, that would be reason enough to bring Captain Archer back. Or he could pop up in Star Trek Strange New Worlds alongside Captain Christopher Pike. Either way, it would be enjoyable to see two Star Trek captains chumming it up on screen. And you know our mantra. I always use it. As we find things out, we will definitely fill you guys in. Now, last thing on the list of things to talk about, let me jump over to the comment section real quick here. Let's see.
This Friday, Elizabeth said that she can finally watch the Muppet Show on Disney Plus.
Yay! And Dan Reese saying that is cool. Absolutely, I agree with you on that one. And then Elizabeth Rice goes on to say, also excited about Flora and Ulysses. It looks super cute and has a bunch of DuckTales in it. We always know where Elizabeth Rice is basically her main focus is. It's always going to be Disney, which is why her and Dan are such good friends, I think. Okay, let's jump back over to the storyboard.
Speaking of Disney,
Disney has 4 weeks left to decide the fate of Black Widow's release date. This seems to be a ticking time bomb for the... Excuse me a second. It's almost like it's wintertime. There seems to be a ticking time bomb for the release of Black Widow as it keeps getting pushed back due to various reasons. And now Disney reportedly has 3 to 4 weeks to ultimately decide as to when Black Widow will actually be released. The long-awaited solo movie and the Belle of the Avengers, Black Widow, has been consistently pushed back by various circumstances, and many fans are kind of just used to it. They expect another delay in the release of the film. The film has been highly anticipated even before the pandemic hit, as well because it would be the first solo movie of the only Rose Among the Thorns of the original Avengers. Man, I am suddenly not speaking English very well. It was first slated to be the kickoff of Phase 4 of the MCU until WandaVision replaced it in its place in the release of the timeline in consideration of ongoing global pandemic. Due to the coronavirus, it has been pushed for a later date as 2020 became the year where Marvel has entirely paused and did not release any titles. The film is currently set for theatrical release on May 7th of 2021. Disney has since been firm with the traditional theatrical release of Black Widow as part of the production company's efforts to aid the movie industry that has been hit hard by the pandemic. However, due to the lingering factors that COVID still presents, a new variant with a higher chance of spreading the virus, things like that, a whopping number of new cases in the US, and the slow vaccine rollout, Hollywood executives stated that the theatrical releases of the films would have to probably be moved again.
That sucks.
So, reportedly, Marvel studio boss Kevin Feige opposes the idea that the film would be released on the streaming services of Disney, like the limited series of Disney Plus. This gives Disney and Marvel the dilemma of how to release the first film of the fourth phase of the MCU, say that 5 times fast, in 3 to 4 weeks. Disney would have to call the shots as to when Black Widow would be released, as moving its date would affect the rest of the release timeline, and all release dates of further movies would be pushed back like dominoes. So this is a big thing. It's going to be very convoluted, and it's going to be interesting to see how the next month plays out. But again, the powers that be are figuring it out, and they're trying to do the best they can for everybody, and they will definitely let us know, and we will let you know, or we'll all find out together. So that's going to be a thing. Let's just jump over here. Have you heard about what happened to Gina Carano, Cara Dune? Yes, we absolutely have. And that's kind of more editorial than anything else. I think I can give an opinion, and I'll do that at the end of the show, towards the end, after birthdays today. So, but right now, let's just finish with the business at hand. Real quick, we're going to jump over to Elizabeth Rice. Just wish the premiere prices weren't so pricey on Disney Plus. Normally, I could see a movie in the theater by myself for like $10. Saw Endgame the morning it came out for that much since it was a matinee. So $30 seems steep, though I know for families that's probably a steal. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I could pack 4 or 5 people into my living room for $30. That's awesome. So
6 feet social distancing.
6 feet social distancing does not exist in some of our worlds, as you can tell by the fact that you're sitting next to me. All right, guys, happy birthday week. We're going to talk birthdays, and then we'll do a little editorial nonsense at the end. So with that being said, today, happy birthday to the late, great, amazing legend of activism, Susan B. Anthony, Rochester native.
And Ann's aunt.
And Ann's aunt. So there, we actually have a connection within our own FC3 family. Tomorrow, we will say happy birthday to Super Bowl performer The Weeknd. We will also say happy birthday to Wanda herself, Elizabeth Olsen, and the Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. On Wednesday, the 17th, we say happy birthday to Air Jordan himself, his airness, Ed Sheeran, and Bonnie Wright. It would also have been the birthday of my grandfather. Let's see, 2021, 15/6. He would have been 106 years old. So happy birthday, Papa. All right. James Bourne's on board. Hi, James. On Thursday, the 18th, we say happy birthday to Molly Ringwald and John Travolta. On Friday, the 19th, Millie Bobby Brown is going to be celebrating another of her very small number of trips around the sun. And Seal, the famous British singer. This weekend is a big weekend. On the 20th, on Saturday, we see Trevor Noah, Miles Teller, and Sidney Poitier. And on the 21st, the late Ellen Rickman, Game of Thrones legend Sophie Turner, Elliot Page, John Lewis, the activist and legend Derry congressman. And to round things off on Sunday, Kelsey Grammer. If you're having a birthday this week, happy birthday. I hope you have a great birthday, and I hope you get a chance to celebrate it with some friends and family.
Anne says, happy birthday to the baby cow born.
Oh, there was a baby cow at Anne's farm. Oh, right.
Aww.
Very cool. All right. So we were asked about, did we hear about what happened to Gina Carano, who plays Cara Dune in The Mandalorian? Yes, we did. For those of you who may not be familiar with what's going on, Gina was released by Lucasfilm. And this stems from a lot of unfortunate political statements and tweets and social media posts that she had made. It's not for me to judge what has happened or to scold or to comment, but the long and the short of it is people are chalking it up to cancel culture. And I don't agree. That's the bottom line on that one. I don't agree. I think what it is we need to understand that there is a cause and effect. And yes, in my personal opinion, Gina she's beautiful. She's got great presence. She has talent, but not a lot of skill yet. She's still inexperienced as an actress. She's coming up, and I think she has a lot of potential ahead of her. But when you have to pardon me for saying this, kids, this is going to be fairly blunt. If you start shit, you got to expect shit to come back at you.
And when you're told to knock it off and you don't knock it off,
you got to expect
there's going to be
repercussions.
Exactly.
There is a certain level of privilege involved when you basically feel you can say whatever you want and get away with it, and then to protest by basically trying to cite that you're some sort of victim. I don't have much. I mean, Gina Carano's career is hardly over. She'll bounce back from this, as many people have done over the years, and I hope that everybody learns from the situation, those who judged and those who caused the judging to occur. I have said this in podcasts. I've said this in social gatherings. I've said this at parties. I grew up in politics. I studied it in college. I'm involved in politics. Yep, you were pre-law for a while. Mm-hmm. Our society basically runs on a very wildly out of control pendulum. Okay, we are at one extreme, and then we're flying all the way to the other. What do pendulums do? They're doing this. All right, so we may not like where we are right now, but it'll swing back. Well, what does a pendulum also do? It starts slowing down if people don't keep pushing it. Get it?
Like those little
yes,
that 5-ball thing that you go like this and go.
My ultimate hope is that in the what's that?
Newton's cradle.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's Thank you, James.
My only hope is that in the years to come, that pendulum starts slowing down and we all meet in the middle. That's basically where I would like to see it happen. But as far as Gina's concerned, I'm sure she'll bounce back. I'm sure she'll be just fine in the long run. Yeah, I'm trying not to knock Tanya out in the process.
And people just have to realize whatever you put out on the internet, someone's going to screenshot it. So
somebody's going to remember what you said, and right. Nobody's always going to agree with you. God knows you don't even have to agree with me, right? I'm always voicing my opinion. This one definitely does not agree.
I don't agree with them.
Yeah,
we're on opposite political sides of the spectrum.
Not diametrically opposite though.
No,
we're like if there's a tennis match going on, right? We're up on the net, you and I. You know, we're not like at the far ends of
Yes.
things, but
Right.
and it's out there forever. You're right.
You could say that you deleted it, but someone has screenshotted it.
Also,
and
the last thing I'm going to say about it, somebody on my Facebook feed, somebody I went to high school with, basically said something that really kind of burned my chat my ass. We'll just use that one. Star Wars finally had a strong female lead, and they fired her.
What about Leia?
You did not pay attention to Star Wars. If you can say something like that, that's all I gotta say. We'll start with Princess Leia.
Carrie Fisher.
We'll just work right down the list from there. But dude, really?
Sean, we're not sure. There's been
there's nothing on the arc right now.
Just a lot of rumors.
Who could
possibly replace her.
You know what? It's easy. There's so many different characters. You can even write a new character very easily. Just write Cara Dune out. She's off doing something else. You don't have to kill the character off. I find that extreme and silly. But you know, Cara Dune has been called away. She's off on this adventure over there. So we need a new fourth. Okay, well, bring in this person and do this thing. So yeah,
Carrie Fisher just slapped up a bitch. Yeah, no kidding.
So that is our opinion on that. If you like our opinions, or if you are just curious to see what more opinions we have 184 episodes of FC3 Monkey Business over the past 5 years to find on transistor.fm, and you can find that link on our link tree. Dan, post it while I'm still smiling like an idiot.
He's like, wait, I gotta
didn't expect that one either. But we have social media. We have 3 podcasts in the family. We have a Patreon gaming blog, and we're here every week doing Nerd World News. So we will definitely share whatever we've got with you. So at this point, let's see. Elizabeth says, I think I'd rather have a new character, and I'd love for Rangers of the New Republic to be an ensemble show instead of focused on one character, hopefully. Elizabeth, I 100% agree with you on that one. Absolutely just 100% agree. So with that being said, that's enough show for now. You've been hanging out with us for about a half an hour, and we appreciate your time as always. We miss you guys. We hope everybo's well, and we hope everybody is safe.
I have to do some shopping.
She's got to do some shopping because that's a thing. So for Dan and for James and for Tanya, for Ann, for Laura, for Brian, for who am I missing? Andy, Chrissy, everybody. For everybody out there in the FC3 world, we love you guys. We hope you're staying safe. You guys have a great week. Have a safe week. And we will talk to you again next week.
Done.